Hey Amit, wonderful to see you, and thank you so much for joining me. And it's been a pleasure working with you and knowing you for so many years. So I really appreciate you making time this afternoon to talk some more. So tell us a little bit about your current role. What do you do at FPS and Affinity X? And maybe a little bit about how we connected last year.
Perfect. Gotham, thank you for having me. As far as what I do for work, I have great privilege of running two different but related businesses. One is that I co-founded with my best friend called FPS, Full Potential Solutions, as in realize your full potential, and another called Affinity X. Um, the businesses collectively operate in multiple geographies, about six different countries. We have about 4,000 employees and growing. We've clearly been affected in many ways by the pandemic, including having everybody needing to go work at home in a very rapid fashion in March, suddenly, as most people. A lot of uncertainty back in March when we first started working about the financial outlook for the company. Happily, things are great now because of how we've performed. But I think the catalyst for me to come talk to you about what you're doing is I found myself in a situation where I was letting my emotions drive a lot of my decisions, and my reactions to problems were made those problems worse than they actually were. In this case, without going into a ton of detail, I found myself working with an executive on my team and giving her feedback in a fashion that was really unprofessional, to a point where um, we had to decide to end the relationship because of some of the things I said were so hurtful. I had not intended to communicate that way, and it's clearly not consistent with my own values and what I want to do with my life and how I want to conduct myself. But it forced me to reevaluate, why in fact did I react so emotionally to this performance issue. So that's why I sought out your help.
And talk to me a little bit about, I mean, 4,000 people is really a lot of people to lead and manage through the midst of the pandemic. And I know you've been growing, you've got new clients, you've been working with new countries, and your bench strength has grown in the last year. Talk to me a little bit about what you're hearing from your leaders and managers. What are some of the challenges and opportunities that they are experiencing in their roles?
As it relates to how we've tried to incorporate mindfulness into our culture, or just
Yeah,
more?
mindfulness, integrate well-being, and how
Yeah,
well-being can be used as a tool to enhance and support their performance at work.
yeah. I think there's so many things that we talk about every single week, and through the program that you've developed for me, through the program you developed for my leadership team, um, it's created an occasion for us to reflect on how we can be more present and curious in a given moment, because it's hard because there's so much noise, so many distractions that come our way. So really working on being intentional about being present in the moment, being kind and curious so that we can be more collaborative. I think the most specific example I can give you is a framework that you shared with me about conscious leadership, where I think the video is called "Location, Location, Location." Are you below or above the line? And you and I have discussed, and my leadership team and I have discussed how we're naturally programmed to be defensive, to think of the world in a finite manner, not enough love, not enough money, not enough time. And if we can consciously identify when we feel that way and sort of get ourselves above the line where we're kind, curious, collaborative, having fun, you don't have to be right all the time. You can problem solve, you can come up with innovative solutions as a team. And some a specific example of how our work with you has, I think, improved our culture is, we'll have a conversation, and if someone goes below the line, we'll joke, "Time to get above the line." And it literally, we pause, take a deep breath, and we get into a different mind state where we can rise above. and hopefully solve a problem much more effectively as a team.
Wonderful to hear. And it's amazing to see that this is not only helping. What I'm hearing is helping you and your leaders individually, but also collectively how you work together as a team and how your leaders lead the people in their departments and groups.
Yeah, it's given us a common nomenclature or frameworks for how to think about how we can get above the line, how we can be more present and curious, how we can be more resilient, how we can, by listening to ourselves and having, as you and I talk a lot about, having grace for oneself, that really then enables you to open up, make yourself vulnerable with the people you manage and connect with them. I think another great example of something you've taught me, Gotham, and it's not just you. And I think you do an amazing job collecting scholarly research about the science behind all of this. And I think you um, picked a case study from our one of our old business school professors, Amy Edmondson, where you talked about how you get into the learning zone or where you're in peak performance mode. And some of these frameworks that you've shown me around, and you get to peak performance if you think about it from a 2 by 2 matrix by creating psychological safety for people to take risks, and then ultimately holding them accountable to demanding goals. And if you do both of those things simultaneously, you can operate at peak performance. And that is a construct, a framework that any manager at any level, or any employee, frankly, at any level, can understand and comprehend. And if you do that, then you can, again, from a cultural perspective, keeping it simple, you can have a higher likelihood of getting a team to perform at that level.
So, Amit, this year you and your head of human resources decided to expand working sort of on an individual executive coaching and with your leadership team to bringing mindfulness based or mindful leadership program to your team managers across the organization. I understand your vision is to have hundreds of people do this program over the next year or so. So tell me a little bit about that. How's what motivated you to expand this offering, and then how's that going so far?
So many reasons, Gotham. I have I'm smart enough to know I've got a long way to go as a leader, but I can also tell you I've improved as a leader very meaningfully in the last year through our work together in mindfulness and in our sessions that we've done quite frequently with our global leadership team, which includes about 20 people. It was obvious to everyone involved that engaged that they themselves were becoming better leaders. And when you work in everything about what we do is people, process, and tech. But fundamentally, you start with the quality of the people, and that is heavily influenced by the quality of their leadership. So we as an organization, and me personally, have a high degree of conviction in the basic idea that a mindful leader is a more effective leader. And you do a better job going through all the steps than I do. But suffice it to say, the reason why we've done it is we understand the fundamental connection between mindfulness and more effective, more resilient leadership, and creating a culture where people have more fun, where people are more collaborative, where people are kinder, which ultimately creates a virtuous circle because then you retain the best people and they feel more connected to the organization and the culture. So I feel very passionately about the fact that myself and my leadership team um, can build a higher performing organization through the work that we do and the work that you do directly with our team. It's a great privilege, but it's also a lot of my teammates thank me for it. And I say to them, it's a very selfish. There's a very selfish reason here. I'm trying to get you to become a more mindful, more effective leader so that we perform better as a business.
Hmm. Now, thank you for sharing that story, and I must share my appreciation and gratitude to you for not only expanding this program within your company, but also recommending this program to many of your clients and other senior leaders and executives in your network.
More important than that, you changed my family. It really has. Your work with my own daughter, your work with my wife. This is about human relationships, in which business is fundamentally, in my opinion, about if you were listening to someone like a Jim Collins, for example, any organization rests on the quality of the human relationships
Hmm.
and the culture that governs a lot of their influences a lot of the behavior and the rituals. And so this is something that I'm very grateful for, something that means a lot to me, something that I wish I discovered. I think every kid in America, every kid on the planet should, in mindfulness, needs to be incorporated in their education. So what you're doing, I think, has the capacity to change the world, dude.
Thank you, Amit. I love the way you summarized it. It's about your relationship with yourself, and it's about your relationship with others. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your making the time, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Friday morning.